And I stumbled upon the infancy of the social media community for lawn and landscape. There's only a couple of people making YouTube content. Has been all about providing that same opportunity for the next person that's starting their business or wants to grow.
So we help people go from operational chaos, transforming lawn care businesses across the world, unorganized, to really having streamlined.
One of the things that I would do at the gym is I sat behind a guy when I first started that was super successful. And what would happen is the guys that would come in, they would sit down, all the other sales guys, they'd log into their email, and they'd check their email, and
you can charge the customer a flat rate, let's say $400 a month, and they pay you that on the first of every month.
The way you act, the way you handle yourself, including the largest conference trade show in our industry. And he's got a huge $4 or $5 million business, and he started it when he was 13.
Automating the payment piece of it is just a huge relief because now you're not chasing checks.
It's predictable income for you and a predictable outcome, for your client.
All right, guys, welcome to Success on Repeat. Welcome back to Success on Repeat, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. What a blessing. We are again at the Tampa JW Marriott on Water Street in just the beautiful Tampa, Florida. I'll tell you what, we are just so blessed at the environment we've been in at this event that we've been at. As you know, if you've been watching our episodes, you've seen that we've been at a mastermind and we've been bringing some awesome people to you. And so I just want to mention how blessed I feel, and I hope you feel blessed by it too. And so today I'm with Naylor and Paul. And look, we just met, but I'll tell you what, listening to what they do, I just felt like, man, when it comes to residual income, there's so many businesses out there where you can make residual income. And believe it or not, lawn care and landscaping is one of those businesses where you can have success on repeat. Because once you learn how to build up that residual income, then you can scale that residual income, and then you can multiply that residual income. You guys would agree with that, right? So
absolutely.
So welcome, Naylor. Welcome, Paul. Thanks for being here. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Doing well.
As you see, we are limited on the resources for the microphones today. It's the tech that we have while we're traveling. It is what it is. So tell me, you guys have podcasts of your own, right? And yours was the Green
Industry Podcast.
The Green Industry Podcast and
LCR Media Podcast.
LCR Media Podcast. Got it. So tell me, on your podcast, you guys are usually trying to send a message to the folks at home, right? What is that message that you're usually trying to send?
So for me, it's really been about networking and, of course, sharing knowledge and education. But the biggest thing for me is networking. When I started my business, my lawn care business 10 years ago, I felt like I was all alone. I didn't know what I was doing. I came out of corporate America. I was a homeowner that loved lawns. So I was really good at maintaining my lawn.
I know one of those guys.
Yeah. But how do we do that professionally? And I stumbled upon the infancy of the social media community for lawn and landscape. There's only a couple of people making YouTube content. There was no podcasting, nothing like that 10 years ago in our space. And I quickly got hooked in that whole community and then wanted to become a part of that community. So now all of my content since then has been all about providing that same opportunity for the next person that's starting their business or wants to grow their business, so they don't feel alone and they have a network that can educate and mentor and all those great things.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, let's hear it. So the Green Industry Podcast.
Yeah, so we help people go from operational chaos where the business is just unorganized to really having streamlined efficiency, which is going to influence the profits. So I started the podcast in 2018. We were at Waffle House and talked about starting the podcast. Now we have over 1,240 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've been doing it every single day for years now, transforming lawn care businesses across the world. Just sharing what to charge, how to run your business the best way possible, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I'm always amazed because I've learned something. I've learned something about salespeople, and I've learned something about business owners. The best salespeople and the best business owners are not necessarily the smartest people, right? And sometimes being smart can be cause a deficiency in your business because you're almost too smart for your own good. You focus on perfection instead of just doing the things that need to be done. So I remember when I used to work in gym sales, I used to work in health clubs. One of the things that I would do at the gyms is I sat behind a guy when I first started that was super successful. And what would happen is the guys that would come in, they would sit down, all the other sales guys, and they'd log into their email and they'd check their email, and they'd oh, well, let me get some coffee. It's the morning, so I need some coffee. Or they go get some coffee, right? And then, well, now they drink some coffee, so now they got to go to the bathroom, right? So then they get up and go to the bathroom, right? And there's this 45-minute process to like rev the engines to warm up for the day. And this guy that sat in front of me, the one that I was watching, right, trying to pay attention, because like, oh, he's the successful one, so let me watch what he's doing. He sat down, he picked up the phone, and before he even knew what number he was calling, the phone was already in his hand. You know, in those days, it was a desk phone. We used to have these things called phones that sat on a desk, you know? and so the phone, he'd pick it up, and then he would start dialing, right? So obviously, that's just a microcosm of being an action taker, right? So you guys are in the lawn and landscape business. You obviously take guys that are doing lawns, which, not for nothing. I mean, I know some guys that make a lot of money in the landscape business, right? And so I don't think the average person, though, when they think of starting a business, thinks like, oh, I'm going to go start a lawn care business, right? They think, oh, that's what I did during the summers when I was a kid, if they did that at all, right? Or they think like, maybe even that's beneath them, right? So tell me how you guys like talk to guys that are either thinking about getting into the industry or are in the industry about, you know, improving the business.
Well, first of all, I currently live in Atlanta. By the time this episode comes out, maybe I'll live somewhere else. But we have year-round service. So you basically bill the customer January 1, February 1, March 1, and so on throughout the year
Every month.
in these fancy country clubs.
Residual income.
And then you're going to do mow, edge, trim, blow. Now, there's not as much to do in January and February because the grass is dormant.
Sure.
But once March rolls around, you got to scalp the grass down to cut it real short. And then it's going to start growing like crazy all through till about the middle, end of September. Then it starts slowing down. But anyway, you can charge the customer a flat rate, let's say $400 a month, and then they pay you that on the first of every month. Then you make an offer, right? Well, core aeration in the end of April or early May, and you charge extra for that. They're going to want their mulch beds refreshed, so you can offer mulch installations. And then there's some one-off things you could do, mosquitoes and just all kind of other little one-off jobs throughout the year. But it's definitely a great business for residual income for sure.
Also, for me, when I first started, I saw all like the stigmas, you know, of landscaper, you know, cigarette hanging out their mouth. They're just so unprofessional. And my goal from day one was to not be like, well, I wasn't naturally like that anyway. And I'm like, well, I love lawn care as a homeowner. So if I want to be professional, I want to bring that professionalism. I came from corporate America already. So I already walked the talk, had that corporate look, but knew I had to kind of incorporate the whole lawn and landscape aspect. I'm going to get dirty. I have to wear the right clothes, all that, but I can still be branded. I can still be professional. You know, your trucks, your trailers, the way you act, the way you handle yourself, your marketing, all that. And I know a lot of other content creators in our industry over the last 10 years as well had similar ideals, including Paul here. And I know single-handedly, or I know for a fact that some of us single-handedly helped kind of increase and level up the professionalism in this industry. And it helped encourage a lot of the younger generations that has a new resurgence, and including the largest conference trade show in our industry has seen a huge uptick in attendance by younger and younger and younger, so much so that they had to adjust the age policy so that little kids couldn't come in there anymore and get their hands on equipment and they, you know, all that, because they saw the future of our industry is the younger generations that were watching us on YouTube and Instagram and listening to us on podcasts. So we've been elevating the industry to get that stigma out. And there's just a lot of other great examples that keep happening where we're really, really showing what a great option it is to start a lawn or landscape or both business and make a really good living, build a great team, make it multi-million if you want, or just, you know, owner operator, whatever you're comfortable with.
Sure. So
that you can have the life that you want.
It's funny you say that. I have really close friends whose son is 13 years old, and him and his younger brothers started a lawn care business over the summer, and now they're homeschooled, so they actually do it, you know, year round. And I literally watched them go from, and this is just kids, okay? But they're doing a legit business. And it's funny because like my kids will be talking to their kids and they'll be like, you have how much money? Because they'll be, you know, they'll flex a little bit, like they got hundreds of dollars, you know? But they're doing lawns in their neighborhood, but they started out by like literally pushing a lawnmower down the street. You know, and so to your point, I guarantee you they're watching one of y'all's podcasts. You know, I mean, I guarantee it because I know they're learning that kind of stuff from you guys.
Absolutely. And I finally got to interview a gentleman, Austin Roth, with Lucky Landscaping down here in Florida, but he's in the Miami area. I forgot the actual town, but close to Miami, Florida. And he's got a huge, like $4 or $5 million business, and he started it when he was 13. He was just doing his neighborhood. He had a little zero turn with a wagon going up and down, and then he got to the point where he had to hire someone with a driver's license to drive the truck with him, and he just kept rinsing and repeating. He's 21 now, I think. He's 21 and has I don't even remember how, 20 something trucks, and he's got this huge operation here in Florida. And it's the company's Lucky Landscaping. And we knew him from 10 years ago because he was the 13-year-old kid watching us on YouTube and interacting with us on Facebook Live and all these things when that was just starting out. We were all interacting and the community was just starting to grow. He was right there building his business, showing us little, Instagram, pictures and Snapchat when it came out of him going up and down the street, just mowing lawns. And now he's this huge operation, and you would never know. Look at him. He's just this little kid that's just crushing it.
Well, that's amazing because to your point, these guys have already gone and they bought themselves a riding mower now, and with a little dump trailer, not a big size dump trailer, but a garden dump trailer, And so they're doing, like you mentioned, adding those add-on services, the mulch, the other things that they can do. One of the things that you could up on, Paul, was the residual income piece of this. You mentioned it. I like that personally because I look at residual income, and I am always telling people that if you can just replace your income with some form of residual income, the more passive, the better, right? But really the important piece is that it's recurring, right? That it's residual. Then that frees you up to now change your thinking so that you can then do the right things. There's landscapers out there that I know of that charge on a per service basis. Do you guys recommend charging on a per service basis?
So my audience is worldwide.
Sure.
And there's different pricing strategies, whether you're up in Minnesota, Michigan, New York, where the season's only 5 months. In Canada, I have a coaching, somebody I coach, he's only got a 5-month season.
But don't they do, a lot of those guys do snow blowing on the off
right,
season?
But you're getting into dangerous territory here now because now you got to buy different equipment and it could not snow as much. I see. There's a huge risk. So
sure.
I like to say cut that grass and make that cash, plow that snow.
Yeah, make that dough.
Plow that snow and make that dough.
That's awesome.
But for the Atlanta market, yes, you can offer. So you offer a year-round plan. You just
say here in Florida.
Yeah,
we pay somebody.
Anything's Georgia and South. If you're not doing year-round plan, that's foolish. So to answer your original question, I wouldn't charge per service personally. I would just break it down, and let's say your season is 12 months. I would say, hey, Mrs. Smith, well, that's 48 services. We might not be here every week in February, and there might be a storm one week, and I'm going to go on vacation in October, but we'll be here 48 of the 52 weeks a year. But to make it convenient for you, Mrs. Smith, we'll just charge you on the first of every month.
Right.
And so you just calculate, okay, $75 a pop at 48 services divided by 12 months. So if you're in a city that's maybe you're only an 8-month season, then you could just start the billing on April 1st and go through November 1st. And I like to charge them on the first of the month. But go ahead and calculate how many services you're going to do, divide that by however many months, and then charge them on the first of the month.
Got it.
Because the problem is if you charge per service, then they're going to be like, oh, well, grass ain't really growing. Just skip us this week.
Right.
And then you get screwed.
Yeah. Absolutely. You do. You miss out on the automating the revenue opportunity. The other thing is just from a payment, because obviously I've been in the payment processing industry for 12 years, just from a payment standpoint, as a business owner, automating the payment piece of it is just a huge relief because now you're not chasing checks, right? You're not chasing people down trying to get paid for services you've already done. You're not invoicing. It just eliminates all of that extra work. And if you're out doing the services or you're out managing the crews that are doing the services, then someone else, you're having to pay payroll dollars out in order to process all that stuff. And it's just why not just set people up one time on autopilot, have that money there on the first every month so that you can make payroll for all those crews or all the guys that are working with you, that you can, afford to pay for the gas in the trucks. You know what I mean? You're not having to worry about it to rob Naylor to pay Paul, or whatever.
I like that. That's funny. But yeah, to your point, it's predictable income for you and a predictable outcome, for your clients. They have a budget. They know they're going to pay X amount every month. It's not like what month is what and a guessing game. And you always know you're going to get X amount from each person, and you add that up so you know how much monthly. So you have predictable cash flow.
Sure.
So you can make decisions. Okay, we need a new mower, or we need this or that, and you can factor all that in because you're not. I don't know what we're going to get next month.
Yeah. No, that's
another thing we've learned from our buddy JP, Jonathan Potoshnik, is to do prepay. So he, in 2015, when I found him on YouTube, he already had card on file only. So he didn't accept cash, and he didn't accept cash or check or anything. The only way you could pay him with the card on file.
Yeah.
And then I take it a step further and I say, and they got to prepay you. So I like to have them pay on the first of the month, and then you go. So
for that month.
Yeah. So June 1st, you charge their card on file. You haven't even gone one time yet.
Yeah.
Because what used to happen, Ryan, is when I started, I was like, Myron called it a chuck in the truck.
But stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck.
Yeah, that was me, except I had a Honda Accord, a 97. I couldn't even afford a truck when I started. I had this ratty little 97 Accord. So I started in the spring. So June, I went and I mowed, the yard all month long. And then I left the invoice on the door at the end of the month. And then they didn't, I didn't end up getting the check until like middle of July. So now I've already gone 6 times.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And so you have to
So you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, you have to take control and set the billing policy as here's how we do it, and get paid with a card on file ahead of time, in my opinion.
And not everybody's going to like that. So there will be people that won't want to pay you that way. They want to pay you either after the service, or they want to pay you in a certain way, and you just tell them no. Because I will tell you, if you're here in Florida or you're in Georgia, there are plenty of lawns. Right? There's other fish in the sea. There's plenty of lawns in the neighborhood. And ultimately, those are going to be the customers that are also going to nitpick and complain and whatever. And not that people don't do a good job. Everybody goes and shows up to do the service and tends to do a good job. And do things happen sometimes? I'm sure, right? But the people that you want as customers are the customers that are happy to pay you and thankful for the service that you provide.
Exactly. Yeah. Our ideal clients are the ones that are perfectly fine with whatever it is that we say we're doing. Prepay, card on file, all that. That's a form of pre-screening our ideal clients. Right. Anyone that's not with that program, then they can go find Chuck.
Yeah, exactly right. Who's stuck in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I personally, I wouldn't enjoy somebody coming to try to get a check from me. I would much rather, like, bro, do you have can we just put the card on file? And maybe that's just because of, it's 2024 and that's how everything's done, and it's just convenient, and then I'll have to think about it, and then I'm not feeling bad. Like, I'd much rather be in a position, right, where I paid them and they owe me, than in the position where they did a service for me and now they're like wondering, why is this guy such a deadbeat? He won't pay me, right? But then not everybody's like me, right? But maybe I'd be a good customer for, landscaping and lawn care, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, yeah. So the majority is becoming filled with more customers like you than the ones that are resistant to it. And there's always going to be people like that everywhere.
That's probably because of you guys coaching guys in your industry, so that now it's harder for them to find somebody that's harder to find Chuck now. Right?
Oh,
Chuck's out there.
He's out there. Chuck's alive and well.
There's tons of Chucks out there. No offense to Chuck. You met a real life Chuck.
Yeah, in Texas. Elevator. I was in an elevator in Texas, and this guy's like, "Hey, I'm Charles." I said, "I'm Paul." He's like, "But I'm really Chuck in the truck." And he's like, "My name's Charles." And he's like, "I have a lawn care business." His wife's a nurse. And he's like, I'm the real Chuck in the truck. But
his business is called Chuck in the Truck?
Yeah, his business is Chuck in the Truck.
That's so awesome. Shout out to Chuck in the Truck.
In Texas. But the stigma is Chuck in the Truck is unprofessional. So we're trying, like rising tide raise all ships. We're trying to raise the standard of, being professional in this industry and not having our boxers sticking out and the black and mild in our ear and, all of that.
Exactly. Well, and then when you coach up the industry to where there's a higher expectation, you can also charge more. Exactly. And when everybody's able to charge more, the people that really take it even to that next level are able to charge even more, right? Because there's a higher standard, and certain people will pay premium prices for premium services and stuff like that. So, wow. Man, I just learned a lot. So anyways, we'll wrap it up. I wanted to just thank you guys for coming and having this conversation. I think that, if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, like, Ryan, I don't have a bunch of sales skills. What do I do? What did you guys say would be the number one tip that you would give to somebody out there that's thinking like, hey, I don't have a bunch of skills, but I can mow a lawn, right? I can get out there and I can, my parents made me do it. So I had to learn how to do it, whatever it is, they can do that work. And they want to build a business doing it. What would be like your number one thing to tell them? How do you go and find the clients?
I mean, just like with a lot of businesses, start off with your friends, family, neighbors,
sure,
and just kind of go from there. Figure out exactly what services you want to offer. I mean, if cutting grass is probably the easiest thing to get into. You just need a mower. You don't really need a whole lot of things to start with that, and then you can branch off into some other services if you really, like you're not going to necessarily just start off building patios or something, or just start off designing a landscape for someone.
Sure.
But, you can work your way up to that point. But at least just start trying to do some of the basic services, use what you have, invest in the best, when you can, and just start leaning on your friends and family and neighbors, and then find the right areas you want to be in, and then start focusing on those so you're not spreading yourself out all over the whole town and wasting time driving around.
That's good tip.
And then you can just focus on certain spots, and we call that route density for maintenance anyway. That's what you really want to focus on, whether you're fertilizing or mowing. You want to go to the same neighborhoods and pack those neighborhoods out, so you're spending a whole day in one neighborhood and not driving all over town.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any thoughts for you?
Yeah, definitely picking back off of having your ideal customer. So Naylor does a great job. I've seen his business. He's just in the same neighborhood basically all day. He does 4 on this street and goes over and does 3 in the cul-de-sac. And I mean, I've been there. I did the same thing in a fancy country club. So find out your ideal customer or the ideal neighborhood. Like, this is the neighborhood. We have neighborhoods in Atlanta where they've got like 800 homes, 1,000 homes.
Wow.
So
yeah.
If you can just be like, okay, I want to be in that neighborhood, then you just start marketing in that neighborhood. And to be the best salesman in this industry, you have to know your numbers. When I really started selling jobs at a high price is when I had this aha moment that I wasn't charging enough. Like when I really calculated how much I was spending on fuel and on labor and on all the costs to run my business, it put a fire on my butt. Like, I got to charge more. And I put my shoulders back and I would start, if I used to sell a sod job at $3,500, now I'm selling at $4,500 with confidence, because I know I'm going to be out there sweating, laying your sod. I'm going to be profitable. So I raised my prices when I really knew my numbers. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. But know your ideal customer and then really know your numbers. Like, I'm a nerd about what my operational costs are, and I make sure that I'm charging to pay myself as the owner, to pay all my costs, to set aside money from taxes, and to have profit after that. So
awesome. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. We've been obviously having a good time here at the JW Marriott. If you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, man, like that was just like a breakthrough, you should probably listen to their podcast. And I'm sure that you guys have a way to get a hold of you through that podcast. And I'm sure you guys are going to be making offers. I mean, we're here to learn about making offers, right? I'm sure you guys are going to be making offers at some point. And so stay tuned, right? And so your podcast was the Green Industry Podcast, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you can find that everywhere, correct?
Absolutely.
And yours was the LCD.
LCR Media Podcast. You can find that everywhere as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So check these guys out everywhere you find podcasts and also on YouTube. Stay blessed, and we'll see you on the next one.